Swale's been on this journey for about 2 years now, and of course we've had some learning, we've made some mistakes, but we're quite resolute because we think that giving people and giving our residents more control and giving them more opportunity to participate, almost co-production as it were, is really the way that societies in the West are moving in the 21st century.
That's why I'm pleased to see, under the current government, more and more devolution of services down to the local level. Services that used to be controlled by the regional development agencies and the regional assemblies passed back down to county councils. Services that were delivered by county councils, delivered by or determined by borough or parish councils, and indeed services that have been traditionally decided upon and delivered by the borough council now being decided upon much more locally by town and parish councils or even smaller local groups. We have made tremendous strides in that direction. I believe there is still further to go. We need to work very hard to build up the capacity of those town and parish councils and local groups to take on those services. We need, if necessary, to be there to hold hands, to provide guidance. But most of all, we need to let them fly.
Yeah, localism is what it's about. It's about being local. It's about local residents, local businesses, the local council, the local police, and the actual people that are here in this town and in the 3 towns that make up this borough, really focusing upon the needs and the future development of this community.
When Swale Borough Council announced they were putting Queenborough Harbour and the moorings up to tender, then myself and a number of other local residents who were involved with the water or involved with Queenborough formed ourselves together to make sure that the Swale Borough Council would consider a community group bid that had at its heart a harbour that would benefit the whole community.
The asset transfer at Laysdown, the community got together, the football club, had changing rooms built in a very bleak part of the island, and that's being transferred over to them as an association by the council with a very long lease at a peppercorn rent, and that makes a tremendous difference.
Recent example is Sustainable Sheppey. That was £1 million bid that was fronted by Swale Borough Council, loosely based to climate change and sustainability. And out of that £1 million, there's 7 sub-projects, each delivering on the island. And Sheppey Matters have undertaken a community allotment scheme to encourage people to grow their own food, healthy growing and healthy eating.
In the spring of 2011, we were asked by Swale Borough Council whether the local traders would like to set up a cooperative to run the market. And the officers were very supportive of the traders, and after a few meetings we managed to set up a cooperative. We took over in November 2011 and it's been very successful.
And the thing with localism too is the councillors and the county councillors have a budget that they will give to the local community to help them to do that, and that's how we got started.
There are ever so many calls that can be made upon this money. Rather than restrict that decision to myself, I believe in devolving it to all the residents of the area I represent. Therefore, how do I do this? I hire a village hall on a Saturday morning. I invite any resident of my electoral area to come along. I invite all applicants to put forward a presentation. I equip every resident with an electronic voting pad, and everybody gets a chance to decide which are the most deserving causes. That, I believe, is real localism. That is devolving power over money which is effectively my responsibility down to the people I'm elected to represent.
We co-managed the building alongside the council for 2 years before we took the building on, and that gave us the ability to lift the bonnet, kick the tyres, but also get the facts together and to understand what really the risks as well as the opportunities might be in making a project like this work.
It's actually, this charity will give quite a lot of credit to Swale Borough Council because it's the first one that's been set up in the country, because where refugees are concerned, a lot of domestic violence, women can't go to a normal refuge if they've got a son of 14 years old or big families. recently we helped a lady that's got 6 children, and she couldn't have gone to a B&B, so we took her on, and she's moved on now to another area where she's quite happy.
Training that they've provided, that's been very useful, understanding how this commissioning process works, understanding how to build business plans, what research you need to undertake, what legal requirements you need to put in place. All that's been very helpful.
As a non-profit taking charity, they'd got an exemption from business rates, so that saved us. I mean, it might appear small beer for people, but £2,500 a year and £50 a week is no mean feat. And I think, you know, in less than a week, I think that was, you know, really quite spectacular.
People who weren't using the building were our target, getting more and more people from the town to actually wake up and see that this was a fantastic facility that they could get involved with. So that's really the sign of our success, is that we get more people using the building for more things and help us make sure that this building has a sustainable future.
And I think our problem, of course, is it's called the Vanguard Committee, so we were very much at the forefront. And of course the problem we did have is that some of the arrangements and what were going to be the exact requirements, for instance with the referendum, weren't actually finalised by the time we had to start this. So on the one hand you want to be there at the beginning, take the advantages of opportunities of funding and other help, but on the other hand, if you're dealing with something that's quite new, the disadvantage is that you're having to start work before you have all the details of the hurdles that you're going to have to cross on the way.
The council invited me to tender, which was an immensely daunting process. I was Joe Bloggs, walking my dog, and suddenly I had this opportunity and a passion to do something, but I was very, very scared. What the hell is it all about? What is this PQQ and this ITT? And I didn't have a clue. So I went out and actively sought advice from people who did know what they were talking about.
My advice would be make sure that it is something that you're interested in, because your involvement, if you are to be a central figure of that organisation, for example a trustee, that is going to have quite an impact on your life, and your priorities within your life will need to be rejigged so that you can give whatever you're taking on the kind of time that it takes, because it will. You are responsible for the running of it, and that's a very different process from sitting back and moaning about it.
Do it. Because these things are important to local residents, and the more that local people feel part of what's going on and feel part of what the town or parish council is doing, then the better the outcome will be. I think it's always important to talk to local residents and find out what their priorities are, because they're not necessarily going to be the same as the town council thinks its priorities should be.
Try and be ambitious. Don't go for the first thing you think of, but be as ambitious as you can. You can always scale things down, but it's much more difficult to scale them up.
By talking to ourselves and the Borough Council officers, they will then end up with a much more holistic support package rather than just one answer from one organisation, because jointly we've got different skill sets and different levels of experience and knowledge, and by bringing that together it makes their support and offer of help much stronger.
Do your homework, talk to other people who have done it, talk to people who have successfully done it, get the advice from them, take it step by step, talk to Swale Borough Council, talk to CVS, talk to their local councillors, talk to anybody they can, and so that they at least start off with some sort of knowledge, take up any training they can, as I say, and just really go with it, because the rewards are actually worth the effort.